everyone, welcome to Success Builder Kids. My name is Lexi, this is my friend Caitlin, and this is Home Talk. We are so glad that you are joining us today.
Here in Success Builders, we're all about growing kids in their business, life, and in their faith. Now, let's get started. Everybody stand to your feet and let's worship.
You're not a figment of my imagination, You're not a fairy tale, you're not make-believe. You came from heaven to be the friend that I can always count on, Hear me shout it out. Jesus is better than any superhero. Jesus is my best friend, whoa, whoa. Jesus is better than any superhero. Jesus is my best friend, whoa, whoa. You are the hero, you are the good guy, you are the savior, and I know that you're always gonna be there. Yeah, you're always gonna be there. When I'm in danger, when I'm in trouble, when I'm surrounded, well, I know that it's you that I can count on, that I can always count on. Hear me shout it out. Jesus is better than any superhero. Jesus is my best friend, whoa, whoa. Jesus is better than any superhero. Jesus is my best friend, whoa, whoa. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulkman. Jesus, what a friend. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulkman. Jesus, what a friend. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulkman. Jesus, what a friend. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulkman. Jesus, what a friend. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulkman. Jesus, what a friend. Stronger than Superman, faster than the Flash, bigger than the Hulkman. Jesus, what a friend.
Hi kids, I love that we get to worship together, whether you're at church or at your home. God is so good and is totally worth praising and worshiping. Today, we're going to talk about the cash flow quadrant. How many of you have heard about this concept? What exactly does that mean? When I was about 20 years old, a friend gave me a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This book changed my world and how I view jobs, businesses, and investment. This book talks about Robert's friend's dad who accumulated wealth because of his entrepreneurship and his savvy investing, and his own father who worked hard all of his life but never accumulated any wealth. You will learn today that 95% of the people in the world amount to 5% of the wealth, and that 5% of the people have 95% of the wealth. You will also learn that it is God who gives you the ability to earn wealth. So far at Success Builder Kids, you've learned about investments, about buying houses, and about business plans. But today, we're going to teach you about small and big business, more about investing, and about the marketplace. Next event, we will be featuring an amazing success story. I really love seeing people succeed and hearing all about their story, so make sure to tune in to our next lesson. If you have your own success story, or if you started your own business, please make sure to let us know on our social media platforms, as we would love to hear all about it. You might just be our next success story. Well, it's now time to tune in to Ryan, and let's see what he has to say about the cash flow quadrant.
Kids, I'm so excited to teach you today. We're learning a whole new concept on how people make money, the different groupings of people that make money. And from this, I've learned all of this from a really smart guy called Robert Kiyosaki. He had this neat book called The Cash Flow Quadrants. And these are the ways people make money. First of all, you can be an employee. You can be self-employed. Those two make up most of the people in the world. 95 out of every 100 people are going to make their money being an employee or self-employed. And what does this mean? Employee is someone who works for someone else, and self-employed is someone who works for themselves, but it's really just them making the money. Like if they stopped going to work, they wouldn't make any money. And then over here we have big business owners or business owners and investors. And this makes up 5% of the world. Out of every 100 people, only 5 people in the world would be big business owners and investors. But here's the really neat part. Over here, of employees and self-employed people, they only have 5% of all of the money in the world. Okay? And then the business owners and investors have 95% of the money in the world. Think about this. Over here, 95 people would be sharing $5. And over here, 5 people will be sharing $95. So some of the reasons that we are teaching you how to become business owners is so you can live over here being a business owner and investor. So I want to take you through one specific example of what it would mean to be an employee or self-employed person or business owner investor, and from the aspect of a teacher. Because you can take any job in the world and you can fit into one of these 4 quadrants. So let's think about a teacher. A teacher can work for a school and they can be an employee. This means they work for the school pays them, and that's it. That's called an employee. There are benefits to being an employee that typically there's stable income, it's consistent money, there's lots of that job available, so it's usually easy to find a job. You don't like working at one spot, you can change and work somewhere else. Now, a self-employed person is someone who, instead of teaching at a school, they might be a tutor. They might say, I'm going to specialize in tutoring math or something. And so they now go out and find their own students to work with, and the students or the parents of the students pay them directly. Well, that person is self-employed. You notice that they're doing the same job. They're both teaching, but how they make the money is different. Okay? Now, you go and say, okay, well, how would you turn teaching into a big business? Now, I'm going to tell you, there's lots of online places, and you use some of them at school. You notice that there's all of these programs on your computers for teaching students. So that's someone who's taken their teaching brain, gotten a business partner who can do some computer programming, or maybe they did some of the programming themselves, and they created a program to teach you something, and then they started selling it online. Now, do you think that the person who's selling the software online as a teacher is making a lot more money than the person who's just going and teaching one single classroom at a time? Why? Yes, of course they make more money if they create the software and sell it to students, because they're bringing more value. Does that mean your teacher's not valuable? Not at all. It means that because they've created a system, and this creates some software that goes on a computer or on your phone, they can reach thousands of students at a time. And because they're reaching thousands instead of 10 or 20 or 30 at a time, of course they get paid more money. The more value you bring to people, the more money you're going to make. So in this case, I can go and I can never have taught anything, but I can invest in teaching. So some of these softwares that exist out there to teach students things, some of those softwares are traded on what are called the stock exchanges, which we learned about a few months ago. So on the stock exchanges, I can go and I can find companies that are completely dedicated to educating students, and I can invest in them. And so now I've entered the world of teaching by being an investor. And so I can participate, I can be a teacher, I could be a teacher as an employee, self-employed, business owner, or investor, but who do you think are going to make the most money off teaching? Well, of course, it's the business owners and investors. And so whatever you want to do with your life, I want you to start to frame it in, how do I want to make that money? Do I want to work for someone else? Do I work for myself? Do I want to make it a big business, or do I want to invest in this thing? And you're often going to work through all these. Often you're going to work through all of these quadrants to get to where you want to go. I know lots of people who become teachers as an employee will often be tutors in college. So they were self-employed, become an employee, and then some of those employees will go and do other bigger things with their teaching ability. And so you can be in any of those quadrants at any one time. And sometimes teachers who work for someone else will even invest in things that have to do with teaching. So they can be both an employee and an investor at the same time. But the goal is to get yourself over from this side over here so you can add more value to people and have a bigger impact with your life. Obviously, the teacher who makes $500,000 a year can give more, do more, influence more than the teacher who makes $100,000 or $50,000, whatever teachers make a year. So we can have more impact, more influence for the kingdom, and live more on purpose by moving from employee, self-employed, over to the big business owner, investor side. So I want you to start thinking about that. How do I take my snow shoveling business? You might start shoveling snow by yourself, but then you go and you hire 10 or 20 of your friends. And they do all the shoveling, but you make some of the money. You are no longer even an employee or self-employed. You are now a business owner, because whether you're there or not, the snow gets shoveled and you get paid. And that is the difference. If you show up to work, if you have to show up to work to get paid, you're an employee, self-employed. But if you can make money and not be there, you have transitioned and now you are on the big business investor side. So I want you to think about those things, kids. You're awesome. Keep thinking big. Keep moving forward. Keep putting God first. We love you so much.
Hi, Success Builders kids. We are here with Professor Roy to help understand a little bit more that cash flow quadrant that Mr. Ryan was talking about.
This looks like a tasty lesson.
Yeah. Professor Roy, have you ever gone fishing before?
Yes, I am an expert fisherman. If you calculate the odds that I will catch a fish, it is very high.
And Professor Roy, how do you catch a fish? What do you need?
Depends what kind of fish, but mostly the generic fish, you take a bob and then you take a line and you hook on the line. And the
what do you
worm.
put on that hook?
You put a worm.
A
on
worm,
the line. You
just like these ones?
Sure, yeah.
So let's say these worms are kind of like the fish's money. Fish really want them, they want to collect them, okay?
Yes, fish, money,
now,
worms. Money.
I've got 2 ponds down here, Professor Roy.
Okay, it's a dark and a light.
I want you to follow along and tell me which pond you would want to be a fish in.
Okay, I'm really good at this game.
All right. So this fish over here, or this pond over here,
yes.
It's got just 5 worms in it. 1, 2,
Yep.
3,
Yep.
4,
Yep.
5.
Okay, that's
This
the
pond over here, all the rest of them.
Okay, who's in this pond?
Well, this pond is where we have the fish that maybe they work for somebody else.
Okay.
Maybe this fish, he really likes his job at Starbucks. He's gonna just be right here. And
he likes seaweed lattes.
yeah. And this fish, well, he's self-employed.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of works for himself.
Okay,
but
so
he's over here.
He sells coffee.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep putting them in here.
Okay.
There's lots of people that do those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
Think everywhere you go, every store you go to, there's a lot of fish out there working in this pond.
Yeah, there's a lot of fish. It could be me, right?
That could be, yeah. There we go.
There's a lot of fish.
There's a lot of fish in this pond, just
will
with those
definitely-
few worms. Now over in this pond,
Yes.
this fish,
Yeah.
he owns his own business.
Well, congratulations, little fishy.
And he's gonna go right here.
Yes.
And this little fish,
Yes.
he's an investor.
Oh, yes. Oh,
And
big
he's gonna
fish.
go over here, and we're gonna put there's just 5 fish over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these guys, they're gonna come over here and share these worms. Now, Professor Roy, if you take a look at these 2 ponds, all of these fish just have these few worms to share, and these 5 fish, they have all of these worms to share. Which pond would you want to be in?
If I was a fish,
If you were a fish,
in this pond,
right?
I want to have so many worms, and then I go in my belly. and get a big belly.
And same with these fish. These fish are just like the business owners and investors. They have all of this, 95% of the wealth to share, and over here, there's only 5% of the wealth that goes to all the rest of these fish to share.
Those fishes should not get very much of the worm.
Yeah.
No, you divide them 95 ways, each tiny little pieces of worms, that's it.
Yeah.
This one full bellies.
So do you understand the cash flow quadrant Mr. Ryan was talking about a little better now?
Well, of course, yes.
And I'm sure you kids do too.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I want to move Professor Roy Fishy. He goes from this one to this one where all the wormies are. So the question is, how does me come to this one? Okay, so yes, I can be working my job, yes, and then I take a piece and I invest it, and my fishy grows, and I have a bunch of this. Or I can work, and on the side I can start my business, and here I go, and then I have my wormies grow. So I must have the big pile of worms because they are delicious. Look into this as well. Yes. Yeah. Having a big pile of worms is a wonderful idea. And you just... There's no house, so many. It's good for your life. It's good for your life. This side to this side.
Hi, successful little kids. Let's do the memory verse. But remember, for the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth. Deuteronomy 8:18.
We're so glad you could join us at Success Builders this week. We hope you learned something about the cash flow quadrants and maybe expanded your brain on what you can do to produce income, money, wealth over your lifetime.
And don't forget something.
Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram and see all of our lessons at successbuilders.ca.
Yes, that's what I remember.
Make sure to catch our lesson next month. And remember, keep learning, keep growing, and keep putting God first. See you next time.